Do you have the gift? Do you like a good hike? Just out there walking, thinking about yourself, thinking about what's going on in here, thinking about the world, thinking about what's going on out there? Are you the bringer of news, particularly good news? You could be the Page of Wands. Welcome to the Pretty Picture Party. It's me, Taylor Ellis, the creator of the Ellis Deck Tarot and the Tarot of the Starbound Phantasia. And today we're going to be talking about the Page of Wands or Rods. We're going to do a side by side with the Page of Rods from the Ellis deck and the Page of Wands from the Tarot of the Starbound Phantasia. And let's get started. The wands are our fire suit. And when it comes to the court cards, I think they're fun to talk about because it's like taking the personality of each of the court cards and how that interacts with the element of the suit itself. So we take the element of each court card, like kings being fire, queens being water, knights being air, and we get to pages, and that's earth. So that's going to give us earth of fire. So earth is going to be like practicality, something material. And then fire is going to be like passion or creativity. So this is like being interested in the creative process, in the art of like doing your art. He'd be like, oh, you're manifesting, I'm building. Think about like how a blacksmith uses fire to create. Think about like the container that a fire goes in, like a clay pot or like a torch, a candle holder. So again, that's like we're interested in the actual act of it's that youthful. Let's go and do it. Let's quit talking about it. They're wanting to get out there and get busy. Well, the cool part is we're talking about a court card, which makes getting an I Ching correspondence really easy for me because I just go over to 777 and see what Crowley says. And he's got earth and fire equating to mountain over thunder, which is 27, aka nourishment, aka the corners of the mouth. First of all, if we break down that trigram, we see mountain at the top, which is something like being still, but also at the same time, you could think of that as like a lofty goal, a mountain to be climbed. And then we take thunder, which we think about as something arousing, something excited, like that page energy again. Even though it's like earth, it's earth in terms of show me results, show me. I want it done. I want to see the thing, and that's the little wanderer, the little sprout, like we talked about before, off on his lofty goal. He wants to make the journey up the mountain. And when we talk about this hexagram, when we talk about the corners of the mouth, I used both Wilhelm Baines and Benabel Wen, and they basically said the same thing, which is that you kind of have to exercise tranquility, both in what you're putting in your mouth. Think about this page off on a journey. You don't eat like a chili cheeseburger and go on a hike, or you don't drink a gallon of grapefruit juice and go on a plane. There's consequences and repercussions, and you just have to make sure that you've got the right fuel for the job. They say tranquility and what you're eating is good. You don't need to go on the I only eat buffaloes diet, or I only eat shoelaces made out of hemp, or I'm giving up this. It's like there's a moderation, there's a middle ground for you to find. And then coming out of your mouth, that tranquility is also important. Then think about like a traveler, and think about when you're in a foreign land. That could be Turkey, or that could be Mobile, Alabama, depending on where you are. Kind of watch what you say. You don't always share where you're going, what you have with you. You don't say, "Hey, I've got this $6,000 camera with me, and I'm staying down the street at the inn with the crappy locks on the doors." You kind of leave that stuff out. And so they say that there's sort of a character that's built when you start to exercise this tranquility. And I think that that's true because you go from, there's that purity of being the page, where it's says a lot, but it's like childlike, and it's very refreshing. But that doesn't excuse you from having to be tactful in certain situations. And I think that it's how we develop that tact personally that sort of defines our character. With astrology and our Page of Wands, think of them as ruling over 0 to 29 degrees of Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Think about with Cancer, like intuition, imagination. The Leo is going to make them like expansive and fun, and then Virgo is going to give them kind of a diligence and a meticulousness. And all those things together, stir them up, and you get our Page of Wands. And like we said with the other pages, they sort of rule over a season. And you would think about like summertime, and what is summertime? That's like our vacations, our summer trips, our adventures, our loading up a bag and disappearing with friends or alone, and finding ourselves going out into the world. We'll get started with the Ellis deck tarot, where we call the Page of Wands the Page of Rods. The wads and the bronze are interchangeable, the ronds. And, that's because they're both magical tools. They're both something you cast a spell with. For this guy, it's a little bit more of a walking stick. Like we talked about before, he's kind of off on this journey. He's got this green skin, and I think of the people in the Rod suit as kind of like a fey folk, or like the brownies, or something where they're otherworldly. They're not from here. And I think the qualities of those individuals that are of the Rod suit, when you meet them in real life, they have that as well. They have that, you're not really from here type energy. And that's furthered a little bit more by that smirk that he's got. It's like a little bit of, "Yeah, I know something you don't know." It's kind of peeking out from this hair. We don't really see what their eyes look like. We don't really know their next move. Their clothing is kind of this plant-like material. It's almost like big pieces of Venus flytrap or something, but it's made to look like wizard clothing. He's got kind of like the conical wizard cap, where it's focusing the energy upward into a point. And the cloak has, his head is like popping out of a flower, and that's kind of thinking again like the gifted child, the child with abilities. Maybe they know something. Um, but back to this rod, it's a living thing, and the thing about the rod suit is I like to think of that as like that's the suit that grows. That's where our skills live. And in addition to that, with him, it's a bud. It's the beginning of these skills. It's like there is a natural talent here that is present in this card. And if we look behind him, we see this little fox, and the fox is the elemental familiar in this suit. He follows behind the page. It's kind of like this charmed life. Um, the foxes, they're kind of known as tricky little animals. They sort of, they're kind of between boundaries themselves. Like a vulpine animal kind of looks like, I think I saw the other day, it's like a dog running cat software. You know, they kind of have the vertical irises, and they don't exactly look like a dog. They don't exactly look like a cat. They're definitely their own thing. Or you think of like the kitsune from like the Japanese folklore, other Asian religions, where the fox spirits were usually they would take the form of beautiful people. There was usually some kind of deception involved, and I think of like illusion and magic is another thing that's inherent in the rods or the wand, the Rons. We're just going to make our own word, okay, guys? It's the Rons. And again, that came from like the Aquarian Tarot. I liked the idea of the rods that David Palladini called them the rods. And then by the time that I was making the Starbound Phantasia, I was calling them wands. I still call them wands to this day. If I'm pulling an Ellis deck card and it's a rod card, I usually say wands. But here they are. It says rods. All right, and talking about Rons and talking about wads and talking about the Starbound Phantasia, we've got our page of wands. And if we look at this one, we see that they are putting the wand to use. There they are. They're that page, and they're like, let's do it. Let's do the thing. And if we look at some of the other wand cards, we see that typically there's a serpent wrapped around, coiled around the wand itself, and that's like the captured Kundalini energy, the spiritual subtle fire, the source of our magic. And in this card, it is not. It's not coiled. It's the cobra is almost being used as like this vessel. They're floating above this tree that has sort of these horizontal like birch tree type bark, and that was meant to represent like in the Celtic beliefs, like the birch tree was a symbol of like renewal. I think that's kind of the same in the Bible. It's like new beginnings, and the vessel of the serpent. It also looks like there might be something in the belly. It may be ready to lay some eggs, and that's like the things to come. Like we're not just creating right now. There's something that's on the way from our creations. Um, but yeah, the serpent is uncoiled, and we look at the night sky, and we see the glittering gold stars, and then we look at the skin of this page, and that's the same color, and the beings, the inhabitants of the wand cards in the Starbound Phantasia, their skin is all the colors of the night sky, and that represents that the individual is this microcosmic map of the cosmos, and that when we do our magic, that is we do it on ourselves, and the way what we do to ourselves affects the universe, and that is the way that our magic works. They're grinning. They know that the whole universe is their playground, because they know how to work with it, and they're not afraid to get going. And we see the little white peacock, the albino peacock that's the familiar of this suit. And they are also seem to be entranced by our wand, our branched staff that we have here. And the page is in this process of they're taming their gifts, like we talked about in the other card. The page is this. The page of wands is like this sign of natural gifts, but having a natural gift is just the beginning. If Once we get into the world with those, we have to learn how they work with the world. We, um, your artistic ability only goes so far if you don't work with like the common language of things like perspective, particularly if you're telling like narrative story. You know, there's certain agreements to it, almost visual grammar that we have to learn. And you know, even in abstracts, we have to know like how colors play to individuals. And you know, when people are making abstract pieces, there's certain things that they, you know, the technical skill still has to develop. They still have to have a language of visual vocabulary. If something is almost just like a giant cube juxtaposed with a cigarette, there's a degree of learning in the world of human language of what that means. So if the Page of Wands is showing up, they've probably got something good to tell you. If you're the Page of Wands, you are probably fiercely independent. You probably like to do things off on your own, and you probably have the talent to get away with it a lot of the time. Take heed to the hexagram that we had with the I Ching. You know, watch what's going in, watch what's coming out. But either which way, enjoy that little journey you're on. Take a hike. If you made it this far into the video, I love that. It's like and subscribe time. You can click them for free down below. If you want to support me and you've got some money to spend, I do sell both these tarot decks. You can go to illustrations.bigcartel.com. When I've got announcements to make, I usually make them on illustrations.net. Other than that, I've got a couple more links I'll share below, and happy reading.